At UFC 309, in the co-main event between Charles Oliveira and Michael Chandler for the rematch, will the result be the same that happened oh so many years ago? The fight that started Charles Oliveira's reign, that was just a barn burner between the two fighters. Will it have that same result? Or, because so much time has passed, will it be different? Alright, what is up guys, and welcome back to the channel. You're watching Nwadei MMA, where I give you my thoughts, but more importantly, ask for you guys' thoughts about everything going on in the MMA community. But before we get into it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel to get those notifications when more videos like this breakdown pop up in the future, or to watch my MMA, or to watch all my reaction videos and technique breakdowns as well. But with that being said, let's get right into it. So before we get into the X's and O's, I think it's important to understand how we got here with Michael Chandler and Charles Oliveira, because Michael Chandler was out for, what was it, 2 years chasing Conor McGregor, and everyone told him that he was stupid for doing it, and it turns out they were kind of right. Michael Chandler, though, kind of needed that break. I mean, he was in some wars, some dog fights. He fought Gaethje, and yeah, we know what happened with that fight. He fought Poirier, that was a war. Coming off the Oliveira fight, that was a war. He got dropped in the Tony Ferguson fight, that was a war. And so he's coming off of all these back-to-back fights with all the toughest competition in the lightweight division, and I think we got to give Michael Chandler his props. So he was slated to fight Conor McGregor. They did the whole Ultimate Fighter, and this is actually the first time that the Ultimate Fighter coaches haven't really fought each other. I think maybe there was one other time, I can't remember who it was, but they were in like 2 different weight classes. I think it was Conor McGregor and Uriah Faber, right? They didn't fight each other, but these two were in the same weight classes. They said that they were going to fight each other, and now it just didn't pan out, and Conor is dealing with a whole lawsuit for rape, and yeah, anyways, so now we're here at UFC 309. Michael Chandler is fighting Charles Oliveira for a #1 contendership fight, which is weird considering both of these people came off of losses in their last fights. But I will say that this is kind of rightfully so, because who else right now deserves a title shot over Charles Oliveira or over Arman Tsarukyan? Nobody. So he's gonna be the next one. Who else is next in line, right? Gaethje kind of wasted his opportunity by fighting Max Holloway. Max Holloway just lost. He's not going to come up and get an immediate title shot. Dustin Poirier's last fight was a loss to Justin Gaethje. And so there is no clear #2 contender. So if we're talking about #1 contender fights, what better than to throw in Charles Oliveira, who really, in his last fight, I thought low-key won that fight with Arman Tsarukyan, and in my scoring system, in my brain, which a lot of times follows the one championship scoring rule set, I think Charles Oliveira won that fight. I mean, he was closer to finishing the fight against Arman Tsarukyan. Sure, Arman was maybe more active than him and was on top longer than him, but if you look at the actual submission attempts, if you look at the fact that Arman Tsarukyan got saved by the bell in that second round, to where there was a dead to rights triangle choke in, locked in, if you look at all of that, and you look at the submission attempt at the end of the fight too, I mean, a lot of people would give that to Charles Oliveira. But I see where they say Arman Tsarukyan won the fight, and here we are today. But I think that that fight really should have been 5 rounds, and I think I'm not the only one that's saying that. And because we didn't get 5 rounds for that #1 contendership fight, we're getting 5 rounds with Michael Chandler. And what better than to put together Charles Oliveira's toughest fight yet, other than Islam Makhachev. Charles Oliveira's toughest win was against Michael Chandler. Oddly enough, I know a lot of people are low on Michael Chandler. They say, oh, he came from Bellator, oh, he's just a hype train, oh, he just throws caution to the wind. All of that is partially true, but styles make fights, and this is maybe one of the harder styles to fight for Charles Oliveira. This is a guy who's going to be very explosive, who digs into all of his shots. Charles Oliveira stands very upright, so his chin a lot of times is in the air to get hit. He gets hit across the temples a lot, and that's often what fucks up his equilibrium. And then he also has a wrestling base, so it's not like Charles could just take him down and do what he wants with him, right? And even if he is on his back, he's gonna have to work very hard to get any kind of submissions. And in the first fight, Michael Chandler didn't have a problem really dealing with his grappling. So like I said, this is maybe the toughest style matchup for Charles Oliveira. So now we circle back to the question on, is this fight gonna play out the same? Well, if we look at the way the last fight went, and now we're going to get into some of the X's and O's, here's how the fight played out. Now, before even watching the fight, I think it's important to say that Charles Oliveira going into this fight, had the game plan of, I want to stay close to Michael Chandler because he's actually very explosive. Sounds counterintuitive, but there's method behind the madness, because if he gets you going backwards, he's fully extended, all the power is behind all his shots, you're not smothering any of his punches, and a lot of times you end up against the cage getting hurt or rocked. Right? So now does it kind of make sense why he would want to be close to all that power? Anyways, that was how he was going to try and deal with it. Now let's go ahead and watch. So he starts off with a low kick, and one thing Michael Chandler does is he goes to the body very well with that right hand. You see, Charles isn't really trying to take too many big steps backward. He's circling out very quickly, which is actually good. And then he's kicking the calf of Michael, which I think is actually a good game plan. But you see, as soon as he starts going backwards, let's go back here, Michael's throwing just the haymakers, trying to touch Charles's chin. And he catches him right here. That's just a 2-3, catches him, and catches him again with another 2-3. And now Charles shoots. Michael jumps on a guillotine, which actually he does a lot, and he has a lot of guillotine finishes as well. So I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he did that again. It's more of a tendency than it is him really thinking about it. But I see Michael Chandler kind of fighting the same way, maybe a slower approach though. I think more thought out approach. He's gonna have his game plans, but he is a violent, very explosive guy. So I don't think he's gonna stray too far away from this. To be honest, I think he should have held on to this a little longer, but Charles was able to escape. Michael kind of let it go so he didn't burn his arms out. And from here, he kind of did what he wanted as far as getting to the back. Michael's a wrestler, so he tends to give his back a lot. And that's kind of what he did right here. And Charles was able to sink in the hooks. And then, as we all know, Michael Chandler stood up, slammed him down. I don't want to take too long on this, so I'm not going to watch every second of the fight. And then Michael was able to spin out. He was able to spin out. Charles went for an arm bar, couldn't get it. Went for a triangle into a De La Riva guard. Tried to sit up for a takedown. But Michael, like we all know, he's a wrestler. He has a very strong base. It's hard to finish him off of your back. It's just going to be hard. And then he actually was able to do some decent damage from the top to Charles Oliveira right there. Ultimately, Charles Oliveira, though, was able to get up. And then here comes Michael again with getting Charles going backwards. And so this is the problem. The problem is Charles, he has to have that kill or be killed mentality in this fight. He can't really go backwards at all, because Michael Chandler, even if you block it with your wrist or your glove, the punch is gonna go through and it's still gonna end up doing damage. Charles has been fighting for a long time. He's had damage. I think that's why he gets hurt by shots pretty easily, but he has a heart of a lion, which is why he pushes through them. So I think it's going to be imperative for him to not go backwards, which he understands his mistake. I've heard him talk about it since. Yeah, he was able to stay relatively safe on the ground, nullify a lot of Michael's ground and pound, even kicked him in the face a couple times. And then we get to the second round, right? And Michael, this is where I'm really going to dig into this fight, because Michael Chandler said, you know, I was seconds away from having that fight stopped by any other referee or whatever. Granted, he had Charles hurt. I don't think there was a point where they were really going to stop it, because Charles was still moving and defending intelligently. He was kind of just looking for a takedown, but he was hurt. Don't get me wrong. But then he says that I kind of just got caught. I entered into the pocket and I left the pocket with my hands down, and I got caught, and it was a mistake I shouldn't have made. But Michael Chandler makes that mistake a lot. It happens to him a lot. And one thing about this fight that I find very interesting is that Charles Oliveira capitalizes on those mistakes a lot, which he did in this fight as well. So here is the second round. It starts off immediately, Charles trying to take the center, lifting that lead leg for like that Muay Thai style as usual. Michael enters with a big right hand to the body, as he was doing in the first round, and as he does a lot of the time. As he comes out, hands are low, he gets caught by a left hook, and this is all she wrote. And we see the finish here. Boom, 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 done. Right? And this is not the first time that he's done it, and it has to do with his style. Michael Chandler throws with so much power that when he pulls out of range, his hands are going to be down. When he is going from his right hand to his left hand, his hands are going to be down because he's throwing with so much power. We see the same thing with Ilia Topuria, why he got caught by that head kick by Jai Herbert and why he got caught by Josh Emmett a couple of times or whatever. Whenever you see him over swinging and he misses big, he's swinging so hard that there's openings whenever you're swinging that hard, right? Michael Chandler is the exact same way, and you see this out of a lot of wrestlers. But this was no fluke, because we go and we watch Michael Chandler's fight with Tony Ferguson, in which this is the beginning of the first round. Michael Chandler's coming off of, I think, was it 1 or 2 losses? I think it was just 1 loss at this time. But he's fighting Tony Ferguson, who's coming off of a loss to Justin Gaethje. Has that one checked. Also, he throws everything so hard. Like, if Charles checks one of his kicks, which I'm sure he'll do, it oftentimes stops him from throwing kicks. That was a good teep by Tony. Leg kicks and then those push kicks up the middle are very handy. But you see him throwing that right hand to the body. He's a little bit more patient with Tony. He was actually expecting this one to go 3 rounds. But again, you see, it's the after he enters the pocket that gets him in trouble. Because he enters with a low kick, comes back out, and his hands right here drop. Both his left and right hand drops, and there's a counter hook that drops him. Tony looked good in this fight, man. The fact that he got knocked out by that surprise head kick was just crazy. And now his back's against the cage. Tony also had a lot of success with his jab in this one, which is what you do with people throwing, just winging overhands. You use your jab, but you don't necessarily throw that right hand behind it every time. You just use that jab and keep yourself protected, because you know those overhands are coming. Again, you see Michael enters the pocket. 1-2, and exits with a jab, but guess what's wide open? That left hook. Another leg kick. The leg kicks were giving him a lot of problems. There's a jab that hurts him. Another jab that hurts him. He's backing up now. Oh, that one barely missed. Look, this is the 3rd time in this fight already. Enters, throws that 1-2. His left hand is literally resting on his quad. That's a check hook from southpaws. And then when he exits, he gets caught by the left hook with his hands down. Man, it really is do or die with this dude and his style. I wouldn't be surprised if he mixed in more wrestling, which he was talking about trying to do since he was scheduled to fight Conor McGregor. He was talking about being a more complete mixed martial artist and making the game easier than he makes it. Anyways, so we've seen what we had to see from that fight as well. Now we're going to go into his Gaethje fight. That was a good low kick that made him switch. This is at the end of the first round. He's already been touched up quite a bit. I wonder if I need to go back. Yeah, I do need to go back. Now, while he did touch up Gaethje a bit, oh man, even landing that 1-2, check it out. Lands a 1-2, pulls out, hands low. Now, he landed it, but he also took a picture, which is how people get caught. Man, he throws so hard, man. Oh, there it is. There it is. Throws a 1-2. Gaethje goes to the body and a left hook over the top, which wobbles him. He actually got his hand back that time, but still wobbled him. God, Michael Chandler is a dog. He's a savage. Throws very wide. Oh my God, which is why he also gets hit hard. And now moving forward to the last thing I want to talk about, Charles Oliveira's tendency. His tendency not only to stand tall and why he gets clipped so much, but also his tendency to strike after the pocket. So, god damn it, beginning of the fight, first round, he really, honestly, Charles makes people throw hard as hell because he hits hard as hell. So he just clipped Gaethje with that right hand over the top. Now he's pressuring him with the clinch, and you see Gaethje throwing hard as hell now. Oh, that was a nasty push kick to the body. And I think that's a key in this fight, man. Kick the calves. Kick the teeth, use the teeps to the gut. All of that will help to drop Michael Chandler's hands and to make him less explosive too when you take out that lead leg, whether that's wrestling or throwing punching power. And then that's when you look to put on the pressure, throw high kicks, use your grappling when they start bending over from the body shots. They both trade right hands right there, and Charles gets clipped. Look how tall he's standing. That right hand lands, but it's that left hook that does the damage. Now, I don't think he was too hurt right there. It more just got him off balance. Look him entering the clinch. Oh my god. Oh, he gets dropped. Again, this is him standing so tall. If he was standing lower, using more boxing head movement to where he's bobbing and weaving, even Michael Chandler, I think, would have been better in this exchange just because of how low he gets when he strikes. But when you're tall, a lot of those winging hooks, that's what they're for. So now Charles is more patient. That one did a lot more damage than the first one. Charles lands an uppercut and then goes after. Check that out. So he finds an uppercut, sees Gaethje committing to that left hook super hard, goes after it and lands a big shot. Oh, sees that low posture, goes for a knee, and I think he's in hunt mode now. That was a good low kick. He's finding that uppercut. That was a good knee to the body. Oh, that tall stance. Just got hit by that left hook. Pulls guard. Wow. Gaethje stands up. And Charles is immediately back on him. Looking for that leaping in left hook. Oh. That was a good right hand. Gaethje, again, now he's throwing with power. He got hit hard and now he's throwing with power. Exits the clinch. Charles does. He looks like he wants to get back into the clinch. Boom. Gets into the clinch. And right after, when Gaethje exits, he exits with his hands down. And Charles goes after. And let's just appreciate this beautiful back take that Charles does. And then Gaethje even starts to escape this. And look how he takes the back again. Oh, nasty elbows. He has an arm trapped in the back take. He looks to sync up a triangle. Gaethje defends it correctly. And Charles uses it to step around and retake the back in an even tighter back position. Oh man. And then that choke gets sunk in and there's no choice but to tap. Fuck. That's the thing, man. So there's the breakdown and we get back to the question on, is this fight gonna be the same? Everything we just saw, we saw that both fighters took advantage of each other's weaknesses. Charles Oliveira stands very tall and doesn't move back very educatedly, I would say. He tends to move straight back instead of like angling off, which is why he is hit by those hooks, even though a lot of them might catch him on the guard. And Michael Chandler exits the pocket out of range. Both of their exits aren't the best. So I think it comes down to who's going to be able to pressure and go forward. Michael Chandler has the shorter arms, so he's going to have to go forward. But Charles Oliveira has what I would say the clinch and the grappling advantage, which enables him to go forward more. It's very interesting. But when you look at it, I feel that Charles Oliveira knows what he has to do in order to win this fight. He's already said it. He has to go forward and he can't let Chandler back him up into those big shots. And on the other hand, I haven't heard much from Chandler about his path to victory. And when I think about it, he's a wrestler going against a guy who's better than him at grappling, more dangerous than him at grappling. He could maybe take the approach to try and take him down, keep him in his guard, back against the cage, and try and rain shots on him. Almost like an Armin Saryukian game plan. But can he really fight that instinct to go out there and try and fight Charles Oliveira? I don't think so. I think he wings hard shots, he backs up irresponsibly. Charles Oliveira seems very focused right now. They both seem very focused right now. I'm really excited to see the adjustments each one of them make, but you have to lean more towards Charles Oliveira in this fight, and that's where I'm going. I think Charles is going to kick his legs. I think he's going to teep him to the body. I think he's going to do all of these little things to make Michael Chandler explode. When he does, instead of going straight back, he's going to curl up into the clinch, look to engage in the clinch and catch him off on the exit, or look to counter back and as Michael Chandler exits, catch him off the exit. This one's the battle of the exits, and I think that if he hurts Michael Chandler, not only can he put him away with the strikes, but he can put him away with the grappling for sure. Let me know what you guys think though. Haven't watched this breakdown, haven't watched the holes that we saw in each of their games. And let me know who you're choosing for UFC 309, the co-main event, the #1 contender fight to see who fights the winner of Islam Makhachev and Armin Saryukian next. Guys, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment your thoughts down below, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more of my style and technique breakdowns like I did for Dricus du Plessis and Ilia Topuria. I will be having a membership coming out very soon to where I'm doing those things maybe like once a week, 4 times a month, to give some of you upcoming fighters or people who are just really interested in the technical aspect of the fight game a few extra gems on your journey watching the UFC. Guys, with that being said, stay safe, stay blessed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Also, be sure to check out my last video breaking down Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic and his bullshit way of avoiding Tom Aspinall.